Welcome to Banner Finance Training. Banner is the software system in use by the University of Alabama. It has various modules for finance, student, human resources, accounts receivable, and financial aid. Although UA has other software systems like Concur, TouchNet, and others, Banner is the system of record, and these other systems feed to Banner. Let's begin by discussing the chart of accounts. Each chart of accounts represents a separate legal entity. Centrally Financial Accounting and Reporting keeps the books for 7 different charts, including UA and 6 separate foundations. The first and most common is Chart A, the University of Alabama. Chart C, the Capstone Foundation. D, UA Donor Advised Funds. E, 1831 Foundation. L, the Law School Foundation. N, the National Alumni Association. And T, the Crimson Tide Foundation. The most important thing to take away from this slide is that most users only work with Charts A, the University, and Chart C, Capstone Foundation. FOAP, or FOAPAL, is a term you will hear often in Banner Finance. Here we address the 6 components of the FOAPAL. The fund identifies the source of the money, the where. Balance sheet and revenue and expense reports can be produced on a fund. The fund identifies what kind of activity is happening. O&M, or operations and maintenance, also known as your state fund, where appropriations of state money and tuition dollars are allocated. This is the most common fund, $11,000. There are other funds, contract and grant, endowments, etc. Funds can be restricted for a certain purpose or unrestricted. Organization identifies the unit responsible for managing the money, the who. The organization identifies the department. For example, biology, social work, mathematics, mechanical engineering. An organization code may be associated or used with several funds. Organizations follow a structure very similar to our organization chart. Account describes the what of a financial transaction. What type of transaction is taking place? Revenue, expense. Program describes the function being supported by the transaction, the why. Program codes are used for reporting purposes. Most educational institutions use program codes defined by the National Association of College and University Business Officers, or NACUBO. Programs include instruction, research, public service, academic support, student services, institutional support, operations and maintenance of plant, scholarships, and auxiliaries. We have defaults built into the system. Most of the time, you will always use your default. Certain departments may change the program code when processing particular charges. For example, student account services when processing scholarship charges. A good rule of thumb is do not change your program code unless you are directed to do so. Activity codes are optional and are only used at a department's request for internal reporting and tracking purposes. They're mainly used to track revenue and expense within a particular project or program. Location codes are only used in relation to fixed assets. Let's go into a little more detail about account codes. Account codes can be 5 or 6 digits. It designates the type of transaction occurring. For example, travel expense. A complete listing can be viewed in FTV ACCT page in Banner, or FGR ACTH ePrint report called Account Code Hierarchy. Most users will only be concerned with the operating statement account codes, revenues and expenses. Notice the numbering scheme of the income statement accounts. Revenues begin with a 5, salaries and benefits begin with a 6, and expenses and transfers begin with a 7. You will use your FOAP when processing paperwork, transactions, or when searching Banner Finance for budget information. Note the placement of each field in the banner form above. Chart of accounts goes in your chart field. Organization, fund, program, account. Log in to Banner Finance through the MyBama portal at mybama.ua.edu. DUO is UA's second factor of authentication. The first factor is your username and password for MyBama. DUO adds a second layer of security to your MyBama account, requiring two factors to verify your identity upon logging into the website. DUO users have three choices for authentication: a DUO push that requires an app on a smartphone or tablet, a phone call either to a mobile phone or landline phone, or passcodes. See the website here for more information about DUO. From MyBama, navigate to the Employee tab. On the Employee tab, you will notice a section for Banner Self-Service and a section for Administrative Systems. Under Administrative Systems, you will notice Banner 9 Administrative Pages. This is Banner Finance. Upon logging into Banner, you'll notice an attractive picture of campus. This particular page is called Application Navigator. The menu bar is located along the left side. The main menu icon is located in the upper left corner of the application. Click on this icon to expand the Banner main menu. The home icon is the first in our menu. It always brings us back to this landing page, our welcome or home page. The next icon looks like a grid. This is the Applications menu for Banner, My Banner, and My Links. The search icon is next. It looks like a magnifying glass. Click on this icon to open the search window. You have two options: search, which tries to either autofill the page name or acronym based on the characters entered, or direct navigation, which requires the exact page name or acronym to be entered. The recently opened icon looks like a folder. It is displayed with a count of pages after you have opened the first page in an application. Open the list and go back to a page previously accessed. Next is the question mark icon, or help. This gives Banner delivered help for the page you are viewing. Next is a star icon, or favorites, that have been selected from the Banner Applications menu. Next is the arrow icon for sign out. Finally, the person icon for My Account, where some preferences can be set. The search box is located in the center of the screen. You can either use the Banner acronym form name or type a part of the form name and generate a lookup list. Let's start with the balance sheet side. This is where your assets, liabilities, and fund balances are located. FGITBAL and FGITBSR are two very similar forms. There are two main differences between these two forms. First, FGITBAL does not have a current fund balance and FGITBSR does. And second, FGITBAL does not have an option for fund type, but FGITBSR does. So let's start with FGITBAL. Note the page header at the top. The exit or page close icon is at the top left. The page title is next. The Add and Retrieve buttons are used with Banner Document Management. We use OnBase, so these buttons are grayed out. Related menu displays a list of pages that can be accessed from this page. The Tools menu includes Refresh, Export, Print, Clear Records, Clear Data, Item Properties, and other options controlled by the page. The Notification Center is located to the right of the Tools menu and displays the following types of information as needed: successful save of data, warning messages, error messages, informational messages, and number of messages to be corrected to continue in the page. The next part of this banner page that we will look at is the key block. The first block on most pages contains key information. It determines what data is entered or displayed on the rest of the page. All the information on the page is related to the key block. The key block stays on the page as subsequent sections are displayed. The asterisk indicate required fields. To navigate, you may tab from field to field. You can use the ellipsis button to look up values. So let's enter our key block information. Notice we must enter a chart of accounts, a fiscal year, and a fund code. Organizations and program codes are basically ways to designate revenues and expenses. Note, organization and program codes are not required here. You may enter an account code if you only want to view one account. Otherwise, leave the account code blank. Then select Go to retrieve our data, or Alt plus the page down for a keyboard shortcut. The beginning balance is the balance at the beginning of the fiscal year, October 1st in our case. The current balance is the balance as of today. To view the activity behind a particular account code, choose the function key F3 or go to the Related menu to query General Ledger Activity Information, FGIGLAC. You can drill down even further into a transaction by choosing F3 or Related menu to query the transaction source information by type. FGITBSR is the next screen we'll view. Note the current fund balance in the lower right-hand corner. Form FGITBSR can be used to view your general ledger or balance sheet type activity. This form cannot be used to view balances on any 11,000 fund because security cannot be limited by organization code on this form. The balance sheet reports by fund only. However, this screen is very useful to view fund balances on gift funds, endowment funds, plant funds, etc. The most important thing to know about FGITBSR is the asterisk in the last column denotes whether the current balance on the account code is opposite what it should be. You will also notice there is an account code 309410 titled Fund Balance. And also, the last line on the form is titled Current Fund Balance. Account code 309410 is the fund balance at the beginning of the fiscal year, and the amount noted is rolled forward from the prior year. The current fund balance takes the beginning fund balance and any current year operating activity, revenue control, minus expenditure control, minus transfer control, to arrive at the true current fund balance. Refer to forms FGI BDST, FGI BSUM, or FGI BAVL for the available balance of an organization paired with Fund 11,000. Again, the 11,000 fund should not be used on FGITBSR. Fund 11,000 is common to many organizations since it is the fund used for state and tuition dollar appropriations. Since there is no way to query a specific organization and Fund 11,000 includes all state appropriation and tuition dollars, it is impossible to view data on an individual organization. FGIGLAC. This form allows you to query by account, type, document amount, and debit or credit. Let's go to the income statement side. This is where your revenues, expenses, and transfers are located. FGI BDST is probably the most common form used by departments. This form displays the budget status by organization code. You are required to enter a chart of accounts and fiscal year, October through September, for charts A and C. At this point, if you have master, fund, and org security, you can choose Next Block and get an income statement for UA as of today. Checking the Include Revenue Accounts box will include all account codes that begin with a 5. It will also leave the available balance total column unpopulated. You can query for a specific account by checking the appropriate box. This will bring back only that account code you specify in the account code box associated with the other FOAP elements entered. Notice the columns of data in the bottom block. The account code, type, R equals revenue, L equals labor, E equals expense, and T equals transfer, adjusted budget, year-to-date activity, commitments made up of purchase orders and encumbrances, and available balance. Available balance is a calculated column of adjusted budget minus year-to-date activity minus commitments. Notice the box beside Include Revenue Accounts is checked. This is programmed to default to a checked box by Banner. Unless you uncheck the box, it will always include revenue if there is any to report. However, by leaving this box checked, the Available Balance field in the bottom right will remain unpopulated. Let's use the Start Over button to change our selection. Now I have unchecked my Include Revenues box, and the Net Available Balance field is populated. However, be mindful of several factors when viewing information this way. The only thing we are limiting our search on at this point is fund code and organization code. Therefore, the Available Balance field is displaying budget dollars available for wages, benefits, and operating expenditures and transfers. Usually, available budget dollars for wages and benefits don't commingle with available budget dollars for operating expenses. You want to view these as two different animals. So viewing this information should be used as an overall budget picture. Let's visit how to get more specific. Another option for searching on FGI BDST is to use an account type. Account types are used to group account codes by subcategories. Since all operating expenditures begin with the number 7, we need to have a way to further define these into useful groups. Within operating expense, we can have general operating expenses, scholarship expenses, capital expenses, etc. So let's start over and use the ellipsis to choose an account type. Account types are useful because we pool budget money. For example, we don't have to individually budget $100 for copy paper, $200 for printer charges, etc. on their own lines. We can just budget $500 in the expenditure budget pool, and that money will cover all expenditures in account codes that roll up to account type 71. Here we can see the available balance to spend on these types of expenditures is $1,383,772.63. Available balance is attained by deducting year-to-date actual activity and commitments or encumbrances from the adjusted budget amount. Now let's learn how to research what specific charges are. Highlight the appropriate line you would like to drill down on and choose the Related menu. Select Transaction Detail Information. You can also directly access this screen from the main menu. And that screen is FGI TRND. FGI Trend shows detail activity making up the account balance. You can access this form by choosing F3 or from the Related menu, Transaction Detail Information, if your cursor is in the account code column, budget entries, year-to-date, activity entries and commitments activity will show up in your detail. If you only want to see actual expenses, those in the year-to-date activity column, place your cursor in the box with the appropriate amount and then choose F3 or related menu to view the transaction detail information. FGI Trend can be accessed directly by entering into the Banner main menu or from FGI BDST and FGI BDSR. Enter a chart of accounts and a fiscal year. We don't use indexes. These are shortcuts for default fund org programs. Enter items in the key block if you are searching for those specific values of fund, org, account, and program. The period would correspond to the fiscal period. October would be 01, November 02, and so forth until September, which is period 12, and sometimes period 14, our accrual period. You can use the filter option to search in the return data, and all fields are searchable except activity and location. Activity date is the date that the entry is made, or the system date. The transaction date is usually manually keyed and can vary from the activity date. The transaction date determines what fiscal period the transaction posts to. You can query by using the less than, greater than on dates and amounts. Field codes include YTD for year-to-date activity or your actuals, E&C for encumbrances or purchase orders, OBD is for original budget, and ABD is for adjusted budget. Rule types vary according to transactions. Those starting with BD are typically budget entries. Those starting with J or FTO1 are journal vouchers. Those starting with AP or I are invoices. See a listing that we have on our website. Another great feature of Banner is that you can export data from Banner into an Excel spreadsheet. In this example, I've returned to the FGI BDST form and would like to transfer this data into Excel. Under the Tools menu, locate Export. You may open the worksheet immediately or save it to a specified location. Please note, sometimes settings on individual computers prevent this function from working. It is important that your pop-up blocker be set to allow pop-ups from ua.edu. If you experience further difficulty, consult the technical advisor in your area. FGI BDSR is similar to FGI BDST. However, the main difference is that org and fund roll-ups can be used to view a broader range of activity. The main thing to keep in mind for FGI BDST and FGI BDSR is that it is current data that is constantly changing. Approvals and posting processes run in sleep-wake mode every few minutes throughout the day. Self-service Banner provides options for viewing budget status through a certain period in time. Budget forms. FGI BAVL is Budget Availability Status. FGI BSUM, Organization Budget Summary. These forms summarize budget, year-to-date activity, commitments, and available balance for revenue, labor, direct expenditures, and transfers for a specified fund and org. FGI BAVL shows the budget available using the roll-up account or budget pool for operating expenditures 70001. FGI BSUM is the organization budget summary form. It collapses activity into major account category types. It is best to view each line individually. Beginning with revenue, in this example, there is $200,000 adjusted budget for revenue. Only $109,293.80 has been collected to date. A positive amount for revenue available balance indicates more revenue has been estimated and budgeted than received. The available balance should decrease as more revenue is collected. A negative amount in the available balance column for revenue just indicates that more has been collected than budgeted. This is a good thing. Cost recovery is not considered revenue, but rather the recouping of expenses from other university departments. Cost recovery is usually a negative amount and reduces the total overall expenditures for the department. A negative amount in the available balance column for expenses indicate account types in deficit. Please note on 11,000 funds, benefits are centrally funded, meaning the budget office will move budget dollars to cover all benefit expense occurring on state or 11,000 funds. Other banner query forms include FOIDOC, document history, FGI Docker, document retrieval, and FAIVNDH, AP vendor detail history. These forms provide more detail on the document level. FOIDOC displays the processing history for a specified document by a selected document type and code. Document types include REQ for requisition, PO for purchase order, INV for invoice, and CHK for check. Enter the banner document number in the document code field and choose Go or Alt page down. This will show you the connected documents to each other. FGI Docker shows the detail entries behind a journal voucher and any other type document recorded in Banner. This allows you to see the other side of the entry. FAIVNDH provides a list of vendor invoices, credit memos, and payment transactions for a specified vendor. Please be sure to check out more resources on our website, financialaccounting.ua.edu. We have a section called References that contains some helpful information. Banner Finance Forms is a listing of commonly used banner screens. Banner Screen Quick References gives an overview of these screens. ePrint Reports List, Navigation References or key banner shortcuts, document prefixes, and rules or transaction codes. Thank you.